Hey everyone! Tonight we're stepping back into one of history's most powerful transformations, the quiet, relentless rise of the Roman Empire. No flashy battles at first, no instant glory, just ambition, discipline, and the slow forging of something unstoppable. Forget the Hollywood version of warriors shouting in marble arenas. This was a story built on sweat, politics, and power plays that changed the world forever. So, before you settle in, hit that like button and subscribe if you love real history told simply and honestly. And tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from and what time is it right now? I always love seeing how far these stories travel. Take a slow, deep breath and let it go. The world around you begins to quiet, the day gently fading into stillness. As you settle in, imagine the distant hum of time stretching far behind you, a soft echo that leads all the way back, thousands of years, to a land not yet called an empire. In your mind's eye, see the faint outline of a river glinting under early sunlight. The Tiber flows steadily, winding through open hills and gentle valleys. Along its banks, smoke rises from simple hearths. The scent of damp earth, olive wood, and cooking grain lingers in the cool morning air. This is not yet the Rome of marble and glory. No emperors, no armies, no empire. Only a handful of huts made of mud and straw, clustered together on a small hill. Simple people move quietly through the early mist, tending fires, fetching water, calling softly to one another in the dawn. And yet, from this humble beginning, something vast would one day grow. The rhythm of daily life, slow, unremarkable, peaceful, would, over the centuries, give rise to one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever known. So tonight, as you close your eyes and drift deeper into calm, we'll explore that slow and steady story, the quiet rise of the Roman Empire. We'll walk with its earliest people, hear the soft murmur of its markets, stand beneath its temples, and feel the weight of its centuries unfold. Now let's begin. Imagine the slow rhythm of a day unfolding beneath a pale Italian sky. The air is soft and cool in the early morning, carrying the scent of damp soil and the faint sweetness of wild herbs growing along the hillsides. In the distance, a thin line of smoke curls upward from the thatched roofs of a few dozen huts. This small cluster of dwelling, scattered across a low hill that will one day be called the Palatine, is the beginning of Rome. The people who live here don't know they are part of something destined to become great. They are farmers, shepherds, and craftspeople, bound to the land by routine and necessity. When the first light spills over the Tiber, the village slowly stirs to life. Dogs stretch and shake off the dew. A woman opens a wooden shutter, letting a ribbon of sunlight touch the packed earthen floor. She stirs the ashes in her hearth, adding twigs until a flame catches. The faint crackle of fire joins the gentle sounds of morning, the distant bleat of goats, the splash of water carried in clay jars, the steady rhythm of footsteps on dirt. Men head to the fields, guiding oxen that pull heavy. The morning light settles slowly across the valley of the Tiber. The river glimmers, a soft ribbon of silver moving between quiet hills. The air is still, except for the distant rustle of reeds and the faint chirp of unseen birds. The world feels calm, untouched by time. And in that stillness, the beginnings of Rome quietly unfold. Long before marble temples and crowded streets, before generals and emperors, there was only a story, a myth spoken softly from one generation to the next. In every hut and around every hearth, parents told their children how their city began. The words may have changed with each telling, but the feeling remained the same, that their people were born from something sacred, something destined. The story begins, as many do, with loss and survival. Two infants, Romulus and Remus, abandoned to the wild by those who feared their bloodline. Their small bodies left drifting on the Tiber, the soft ripples of water lapping against the basket that carried them. You can almost hear it. The gentle splash of current, the whisper of reeds bending in the wind. Days pass, the basket caught among the roots of a fig tree at the base of the Palatine Hill. There, a she-wolf, silent, watchful, finds the crying infants. In this quiet place, beneath the shade of trees, nature becomes their guardian. She nurses them with patient care, her heartbeat steady, her warmth their first comfort. Nearby, the air hums with insects and the rustle of grass. The world is vast, yet somehow peaceful, a cradle for something that will grow far beyond it. When a shepherd named Faustulus finds the twins, he carries them home to his wife. They are raised not as princes but as herdsmen, strong, curious, and bound to the wild land that sheltered them. Their lives are filled with simple labor, tending flocks, repairing fences, resting under the wide sky. It is a life measured not by ambition but by rhythm, the movement of herds, the turning of seasons, the soft call of dusk across the fields. Years later, when the brothers become men, they dream of building something of their own, a settlement where they had once been saved. But even the gentlest beginnings can hold tension. The twins, though bound by blood, differ in spirit. Romulus favors the Palatine Hill. Remus prefers the Aventine. They look across the short distance between them. Two rises divided by more than just the valley below. The story tells us they argued, not in a storm of rage, but in a quiet, stubborn clash of pride. They sought the will of the gods through augury, watching the flight of birds across the sky. But signs are rarely clear, and destiny, it seems, is rarely shared. When one brother fell, the silence afterward must have been heavy, the stillness of loss settling over the land. Romulus, alone now, named the new city after himself, Rome. The myth is simple, yet full of quiet meaning. It speaks not only of power or conflict, but of how beginnings often come with sacrifice. From solitude, creation takes root. From uncertainty, something lasting begins to take shape. As time passed, stories of kings followed. 7 in all, each remembered for their own way of shaping the young city. But even kings in these early centuries lived close to the earth. They ruled not from palaces, but from open fields and small temples, their voices steady, their power woven gently through ritual and routine. Romulus was said to have organized the people, not through force, but through order. He divided them into tribes and families, gave them rules for meeting, and built the first Senate, a council of elders who advised and debated in measured tones. Rome's earliest government grew slowly, like a tree taking root. After Romulus came Numa Pompilius, a man of peace, quiet, and thoughtful. He was said to have loved stillness, reflection, and the calm balance of ritual. Numa built temples to the gods, not for spectacle, but for grounding, places of quiet devotion where the people could gather in gratitude. He shaped the early Roman calendar, giving structure to the flow of time, marking sacred days, times for labor, and moments for rest. Under Numa, religion became the heartbeat of Rome. The people learned to honor Vesta, goddess of the hearth, Janus, guardian of beginnings, and Jupiter, ruler of the sky. Priests tended small fires, keeping them alive day and night. The smoke that rose from these sacred flames drifted above the rooftops like a gentle reminder that the city was protected and that the unseen still walked among them. You can imagine a quiet morning in those years, priests moving in slow procession through the streets, the soft sound of their sandals on stone, the faint smell of burning incense in the air. Bells ring lightly, voices chant low and steady, and the people watch in reverent silence. The world feels balanced, as if everything follows a steady rhythm. Human and divine, city and nature, all breathing in time together. Then came Tullus Hostilius, a man of strength and restlessness. His Rome began to stir, its people growing confident, its walls taller, its boundaries wider. Yet even in times of tension or expansion, the rhythm of daily life continued. Farmers still sowed their fields, artisans still shaped clay and bronze, children still learned the small rituals of prayer and offering. For most, life remained quiet and familiar, untouched by the ambitions of kings. After Tullus came Ancus Marcius, said to be a man who blended peace and power. He expanded Rome's territory gently, not through cruelty, but through careful diplomacy and trade. He built bridges across the Tiber and improved the city's harbour, connecting Rome to the sea. The slow flow of commerce began, ships carrying salt, grain, and pottery, their sails catching the wind under the same soft sun that once warmed shepherds' backs. Later, kings like Tarquinius Priscus and Servius Tullius brought change of a different kind. Influenced by the nearby Etruscans, they introduced stone architecture, planned streets, and new systems of governance. The city began to look more permanent, more confident. The hum of daily life deepened, craftsmen at work, traders in the market, builders shaping bricks in the dust. Still beneath the growing noise of civilization, there remained a calm pulse. The same rhythm that had guided the villagers before them. People still rose with the sun, still honored their hearth fires, still found comfort in familiar rituals. Even as Rome slowly grew from hill to city, the heartbeat of daily life stayed steady. Each king left his quiet mark. Temples were raised, streets were paved, fields expanded, but the real growth of Rome, the kind that would endure through centuries, happened not in marble or law, but in habit, in patience, in the quiet consistency of its people. And so as dusk settles over the young city, you can almost see it, the flicker of hundreds of small fires glowing across the hills, the low hum of evening prayers, the gentle flow of the river beyond the walls. The kings of early Rome come and go, their names whispered through time, but their city endures. Slowly, steadily, silently. Rome is still small, just a cluster of hills, a network of farms, a growing confidence in the dark. Yet the pattern of something immense is already there, hidden in the ordinary rhythm of its days. The empire is still centuries away, but its spirit, discipline, endurance, and faith in its own destiny is already alive. When we think of Rome, we often imagine what has survived: the grand arches, the towering columns, the remains of amphitheatres that once echoed with distant applause. But just as much of Rome's greatness lies in what is lost. Beneath the surface, beneath the quiet soil and forgotten ruins, there are rooms, hidden chambers, and passageways where the empire's truest whispers still linger. Imagine yourself walking through a dimly lit corridor beneath the modern city. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint, earthy scent of time itself. The walls are rough, carved by hands that have long since turned to dust. These tunnels are older than the emperors whose names we remember. They twist and branch, leading to hidden vaults, to sealed rooms whose purposes remain uncertain. Some were part of the city's infrastructure, ancient sewers and aqueduct systems that kept the metropolis alive. Others, archaeologists believe, were secret storage rooms, perhaps even safe places where the wealthy hid their treasures when war or political unrest darkened the horizon. And then there are those chambers whose purpose no one can quite explain, rooms with murals, inscriptions, or mosaics depicting scenes not found in any other Roman art. One such place lies beneath the Esquiline Hill, the so-called Domus Aurea, or Golden House of Nero. For centuries after Nero's death, it was buried under newer buildings, sealed away as if Rome itself wanted to forget him. But when Renaissance artists accidentally rediscovered the chambers in the 15th century, they were stunned. The walls were alive with color, vivid frescoes of gods, beasts, and delicate patterns curling in endless symmetry. They called the style grottesca for the grotto-like rooms where they found them. From that rediscovery came the word grotesque, forever linking beauty and decay. Even deeper still, beneath churches and villas there are catacombs, labyrinths of narrow tunnels carved through soft volcanic stone. Here, in the early centuries of the empire, Christians buried their dead and sometimes gathered in quiet secrecy. The paintings on the walls are faint now, but still visible. Peaceful doves, simple symbols of faith, the faint outline of a shepherd carrying a lamb. These underground sanctuaries were not places of fear, but of reverence and hope. Elsewhere in the empire, new discoveries continue to reveal the subtle layers of Roman life. In Pompeii and Herculaneum, cities preserved by ash and silence, archaeologists have unearthed rooms frozen in a single moment. The plaster casts of doorways, of furniture, even of people, capture an eerie stillness, the instant when life simply stopped. And yet within that stillness, there's something deeply peaceful. The rhythm of daily life, its laughter, labor, and love, suspended forever beneath layers of time. Imagine stepping into one of those Roman homes. The light filters through an opening in the roof, soft and golden. The walls are painted in reds and ochres, showing scenes of myth and landscape. A bronze lamp flickers on a table, casting gentle shadows that seem to move with the breath of the air. You can almost hear the faint echo of footsteps from a world that no longer exists. And then there are the rooms we have yet to find. Archaeologists believe that beneath modern Rome lie entire complexes still untouched, banquet halls, gardens, libraries. Some might hold fragments of scrolls or inscriptions that could rewrite what we know about the empire's inner life. Each discovery adds another quiet voice to the long, slow conversation between past and present. The mysteries of Rome remind us that history is never truly silent. It hums beneath the surface, waiting to be heard by those who listen carefully enough. Each layer, each forgotten chamber, holds stories, not of conquest or glory, but of people, builders, servants, artists, who lived, worked, and dreamed under the same sky. And as we leave these buried rooms behind, we rise once more into the light, into the world above ground, where Rome's wealth and power reached their fullest form. There, amid marble villas and fragrant gardens, the empire's elite lived a life so different from those who dug its foundations. Yet both worlds were bound together, each dependent on the other. In the next and final segment, we'll step into those quieter palaces to explore the stillness of luxury, the slow rhythm of Roman elite life, and the contrast between power and peace in the heart of an empire that believed it would last forever. In the stillness of early morning, before the city's noise rises to fill the air, the Roman elite awaken to a world of soft light and quiet ritual. The empire may stretch across continents, but within the marble villas on the Palatine Hill, time seems to move at a slower pace. The air is cool, perfumed faintly with lavender oil and beeswax from the lamps that burned through the night. A servant gently draws back the curtains, revealing a courtyard garden glistening with dew. The day begins not with haste, but with ceremony. The Roman upper class believed that order was divine, that the symmetry of their homes reflected the balance of the cosmos. Every room was arranged with purpose: the atrium to receive guests, the peristyle garden for calm reflection, the triclinium for shared meals and discourse. Even the sound of running water from a central fountain was intentional, its gentle rhythm soothing the mind, much like a steady heartbeat. To live surrounded by harmony was, for them, to live close to the gods. The head of the household, the paterfamilias, performs his morning rites before the household shrine, or lararium. Small bronze or terracotta figures, guardians of the home, stand beside flickering lamps. He offers a pinch of incense, perhaps a few drops of wine, and murmurs a prayer for the well-being of his family. These gestures, repeated every day, connect him to ancestors long gone, creating an unbroken chain of memory and duty stretching back generations. Breakfast is modest: bread dipped in olive oil, fruit, perhaps cheese. The Romans believed indulgence belonged to the afternoon, not the dawn. Yet even in simplicity there is elegance. The bread freshly baked, the oil fragrant and golden. Outside the villa's walls, Rome is alive with movement. Market stalls open, mules clatter over cobblestones, and the chatter of traders fills the air. But within these polished marble halls, the sound barely reaches. The calm remains. As the morning progresses, business begins. In a shaded study lined with scrolls, the master of the house listens to scribes reading correspondence. Letters arrive from distant estates in Gaul or Africa, written on thin sheets of papyrus, each sealed with wax. Reports of harvests, taxes, and local disputes pass across the table. Decisions are made in low tones. The empire, vast as it is, moves forward quietly through such moments, ink and thought, rather than battle or noise. Soon the salutatio begins, the formal greeting between patron and client. It is a scene of social choreography, a ritual that reinforces Rome's unspoken hierarchy. The clients arrive, bowing slightly as they enter, their expressions respectful but weary. They offer words of gratitude, small gifts, or petitions. The patron, dignified and calm, listens carefully, nodding, speaking in deliberate phrases. His power is not displayed with grandeur, but with poise, the control of a man who commands through stillness. Later, when the business of the morning is done, the household relaxes. The villa becomes a place of leisure, though even leisure in Rome was structured and intentional. In one corner of the peristyle garden, the lady of the house might supervise weavers working at their looms. In another, musicians tune their instruments for the afternoon's performance. The soft pluck of strings or the low hum of a flute floats through the air. Children are tutored nearby. A philosopher, often Greek, instructs them in literature and moral virtue. They read passages from Homer or Virgil, practicing the art of eloquence. Outside, slaves tend to the gardens, pruning the rose bushes and watering fig trees under the bright Roman sun. The faint scent of blossoms and herbs drifts through the open colonnades. By midday, when the sun reaches its height, the family gathers in the triclinium. Reclining on couches, they are served in courses: simple vegetables, fish, bread, and fruits. The elite believed dining was not only for nourishment but reflection. Meals were an opportunity for conversation and contemplation, not indulgence. Wine was sipped slowly, diluted with water. talk flowed softly, perhaps of politics, poetry, or philosophy. Words were measured like the rhythm of a pulse. Afterward, the villa grows quiet again. The heat of the afternoon settles over Rome, and even the birds seem to rest. Some retreat to shaded chambers to nap. Others walk slowly through the garden, where the sound of trickling fountains cools the air. The marble underfoot holds the memory of morning chill. Statues of deities stand in graceful silence, Venus among the flowers, Apollo by the reflecting pool. The empire itself seems to pause. As the evening draws near, candles are lit, and the villa awakens once more. Guests arrive, greeted by soft music and the fragrance of myrrh. A dinner gathering begins, what the Romans called a convivium, meaning living together. It is not a feast of excess, but of conversation. Stories are told, poems recited. Philosophers share their quiet theories on fate and the stars. Outside, the city glows faintly under torchlight, the hum of distant life softened by night. Later still, as the moon rises over the Tiber, the household begins to sleep. The master of the house walks one last time through his courtyard, the sound of his sandals soft against the stone. He pauses beneath the open sky, looks toward the horizon, and exhales. Somewhere beyond those hills, legions march, ships sail, and new provinces are absorbed into the empire's vast embrace. Yet here, within these calm walls, there is peace. This was the great paradox of Rome, the empire that conquered the world in silence. For every arena and triumph, there were 10,000 quiet moments like this. The hush of gardens, the murmur of poets, the slow turning of time in marble rooms. The Romans believed that civilization was built not only on power, but on stillness, the kind that allows reflection, continuity, and grace. And so the night deepens. The lamps fade, the empire rests. In these tranquil hours, it is easy to imagine that Rome will never end, that the order Augustus built will last forever, steady and unbroken, like the soft rhythm of sleep itself. And now, as our journey through ancient Rome draws to a close, the night settles softly around us. The fires in the hearths burn low, and the great city, once alive with the sounds of commerce, laughter, and command, rests beneath the steady rhythm of the stars. The empire that began in quiet ambition, that rose through the discipline of its builders, and the order of its rulers now lives only in echoes, in stone, and in story. Imagine standing at the edge of the Roman Forum long after sunset. The marble columns glow faintly in the moonlight, their shadows stretching across the ground like memories. The air is still, touched by the scent of dust and distant rain. Somewhere, an owl calls from the ruins of a temple. The voices of the past seem almost near, faint, layered whispers carried by the wind. It's easy to think of empire as a thing of grandeur, of conquests, banners, and legions. But as you've heard tonight, Rome's true power was quieter than that. It was found in the rhythm of daily life, the patient work of builders shaping stone in the heat, the steady hand of Augustus arranging laws and order, the careful artistry of those who painted the hidden rooms beneath the earth, and the serene lives of the noble families who moved through marble halls with the calm assurance of eternity. These were not the moments that filled triumphal arches or echoed in the Senate's marble halls. Yet they were the threads that held the empire together, the quiet persistence of purpose, the unspoken belief that civilization could be shaped through patience and thought rather than through noise or chaos. Over centuries, that quiet strength outlasted armies and emperors. Roads stretched outward, binding together distant lands. Laws and language carried Roman order to the far edges of the world. Even after the empire itself faded into dust, its stillness remained, in the curve of an arch, in the structure of a sentence, in the way we still measure time and rule and thought. Rome continues not as conquest but as calm. If you listen closely, you can still feel it, the steady hum of a civilization that believed in endurance. In the hush of a quiet evening, in the ordered rhythm of your own breathing, there is something of Rome's still heart. The empire that once roared now rests, and in that rest there is a lesson, that greatness does not always shout. Sometimes it endures by whispering. So as you lie here now, breathing softly, the world around you grows still, just as Rome once did at night. The torches dim, the footsteps fade, and all that remains is the vast, serene memory of what once was. The Tiber flows quietly beneath the stars. The marble sleeps beneath the soil. The empire, at last, is at peace. And so too may you be, drifting gently through time and thought into the same eternal calm that has carried every civilization from waking life into dream. Good night, and rest well beneath the endless sky of history.